When we try to describe human interaction, we drown in a fractured vocabulary. We talk about behaviors, norms, signals, choices, strategies, utterances, and institutions as if they exist in completely separate universes. This chaos is a byproduct of academic silos. Psychology maps internal intent. Game theory calculates strategy. Linguistics dissects speech. Sociology catalogs institutions. Because each isolates its own specific variables, the shared architectural structure beneath all social life remains hidden. The 561 group provides a way out of this fragmentation. Their research demonstrates that meaning and social order do not emerge from static internal beliefs, private intentions, or basic information transfer. Social reality is built out of a single, highly structured atomic unit, the move. A move is the elementary, standalone form of answerable action. We are going to construct this theoretical primitive from scratch. We will track how it operates across 4 distinct domains of human behavior, and then apply it directly to the hidden mechanics of institutional power. Analyzing society through the lens of the move strips away abstract structural forces. It turns the study of human interaction into an observable mechanical science. This isolated node represents a raw human action, a person pacing in an empty room, or a hand shifting a piece of wood on a table. In a vacuum, devoid of context, this action is not yet a move. A move is distinct from a private choice. Choices belong exclusively to the internal mind of the agent. Moves require an external, public scene of response. A move is also distinct from a simple signal. A signal transfers information outward. A move demands consequence. For an action to cross the threshold into a move, it requires 4 strict mechanical parameters. The first element is position. The action must originate from a specific place, status, or role within a structured field. The exact same sentence spoken by a judge, a friend, or an automated system occupies a different position, generating an entirely different move. The second element is accountability. The field itself must be able to classify the action. Participants must be able to recognize the event as a threat, a joke, a promise, or an opening. The third element is consequence. The move alters the field. It opens new pathways for action while permanently closing others, creating a debt, an opportunity, or a precedent. The fourth element is answerability. A move is exposed to a return vector. It requires an uptake, a reply, or a refusal from the surrounding field. These 4 elements dictate the temporal life cycle of every move. A field provides a baseline affordance. An actor takes initiative. The field provides uptake. That uptake forces a consequence, generating an answer, which ultimately settles into incorporation. A move's true identity is entirely relational. It is forged in the public negotiation between what the actor intended and how the field decides to classify the action. This atomic structure applies directly to our first domain, play. In this photograph, the physical action functions as a laboratory. Play is the exploration of answerability, where possible moves are discovered and tested before formal rules harden. Gregory Bateson defined play through the concept of the double frame. A playful nip between animals acts simultaneously as a bite and explicitly not a bite. This loosened stakes environment allows participants to safely try on roles and test consequences. The second domain is games. Here, the playful discoveries are formalized. On a giant chessboard, physical actions are strictly counted as legal transformations within a defined arena. Rules produce moves by making actions count. They specify exactly what constitutes a valid reply, a scored advantage, or an ending state within the game's logic. Historian Johann Huizinga demonstrated that formal obstacles are the core architecture of culture itself. By applying strict boundaries to human behavior, success becomes recognizable, countable, and highly answerable. Play discovers what actions could be. Games define exactly what actions count as. Together, they establish the baseline grammar of structured social interaction. We can apply this mechanic to a third domain, communication. The standard engineering model treats speech as a simple transfer of data between a sender and a receiver. In reality, speech actively repositions participants in a shared space. J.L. Austin's speech act theory maps this precisely. Uttering a phrase like, "I promise," operates as a physical action. It alters the normative field between two people and legally or socially binds future behavior. Linguistic tools like reference and presupposition act as moves. They demand that the common ground of a conversation be physically arranged to support the speaker's premise. Groups are durable, stabilized histories of repeated move sequences. An empty courtroom acts as a stabilizing machine. It codifies the specific, repeatable sequences of accusation, defense, objection, and judgment, ensuring the moves remain highly countable. Max Weber's study of authority shows how commands function within a field. Legitimacy manifests when participants treat a specific actor's initiative as a binding move that demands a predictable answer. Patterns of move and uptake form the active, stabilized circulation we recognize as a society. Reality involves friction. Social life is heavily layered with ambiguity. Depending on the framing, the exact same action can be interpreted as a joke, a threat, or a genuine test of boundaries. When an actor initiates a move but lacks the appropriate standing, the field rejects the action. This is a misfire. The intention exists, but the conditions of the field deny the consequence. Ambiguity operates as a strategic resource. For vulnerable populations, it allows indirect speech under threat. For the powerful, it provides plausible deniability. Pierre Bourdieu detailed how dominant classifications become misrecognized as the natural order of things. This strips dominated groups of their ability to even recognize their oppression as a series of specific, answerable moves. This generates frame disputes. Many visible societal conflicts bypass arguments over facts entirely. They are arguments over what game is actively being played and whose actions are allowed to count. When the rules themselves are the issue, participants must initiate a meta-move. They step outside the standard sequence to clarify, suspend, or alter the rules. Ludwig Wittgenstein recognized that rule following is a fluid social practice, requiring constant human judgment. No formal, automated system can perfectly predict every future application of a rule. Social competence requires knowing the precise difference between an ordinary move, a clear violation, and the necessary initiation of a meta-move. Social interaction is defined by profound asymmetries. Power maintains control by dictating position, determining who has the standing to enter a move, while reclassifying acts of resistance as mere noise. It also dominates by controlling tempo, demanding immediate answers while delaying its own. Those in control dictate memory, deciding which moves are officially archived as precedent. They monopolize the meta-moves, reserving the exclusive right to declare an action out of order. But because domination relies entirely on enacting moves, it exposes itself to interruption. Collective countermoves, like boycotts or labor strikes, halt the expected sequence and force the field to recognize the consequence of refusal. Oppression functions through the systemic degradation of a person's move status. It forces individuals into a state of permanent answerability without granting them the standing to initiate. Every designed environment is a move field. Interaction designers, technologists, and policymakers are the architects of what participants can do and what they can do next. The standard metric of user engagement prioritizes raw activity over consequence. Maximizing clicks degrades the quality of moves, encouraging chaotic noise rather than meaningful replies. Instead, we must replace engagement with answerability. Designers must ask, who is allowed to initiate? Who is structurally forced to answer? And what legitimate pathways exist for users to contest the rules? A healthy social structure holds disagreement in a form that allows continued action. It provides participants with the necessary tools to negotiate boundaries. Meaning and order persist only as long as this answerable form is maintained. When systems preserve the standing of participants to initiate moves and contest rules, the social field becomes a shared achievement rather than a coercive constraint.